Welcome back to the halftime show on the PAC Sports Network. And we're joined now at the half by Thiel women's basketball coach Jess Vormelker. Coach, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Randy.
Now, Coach, you're in your first year as head coach. You come back home, in a sense, a place where you had great success as a player, the 2019 PAC Player of the Year as well. Now you're back as head coach in your first year. What's it mean to you to come back to a place where you've had so much success as a player?
Oh my gosh, Randy, being back at Thiel it really is a homecoming in a sense. Although I didn't grow up in Greenville, I feel like I grew so much as a person at my time or during my time at Thiel as a student. I feel like I grew athletically, but also academically, spiritually. I feel like I grew into the person that I am today while I was a student at Thiel. And when I was a student athlete here, I remember always saying like I want to come back to Thiel one day, and to know that actually came true is just very humbling. And to have the opportunity to impact the lives of not only the women within the women's basketball program, but also other student athletes on campus, like that just means the world to me. So I'm very excited and very blessed to be back at my alma mater.
Now, you mentioned your growth. As we noted, you were the 2019 PAC Player of the Year, then went on to be a grad assistant at Waynesburg and then an assistant coach at Allegheny. How did those assistant coaching stops help you grow as a coach to where you're at now?
I'm very grateful for the extra time that I had in the PAC. My 2 years at Waynesburg with Sam, I feel like I grew a lot as a person, but also as a coach. He's very gifted with X's and O's in the basketball side of things. And I felt like I was able to pick up and just see how he sees the game because of his coaching style. And I feel like I was able to just learn a lot from him. And then my time at Allegheny, I feel I also grew a lot in the basketball side of things and the X's and O's side of things. But I also was able to see, how do you start over? How do you start something new? And I'm very grateful for my time that I had with Kelly at Allegheny. And, it was really cool to maneuver that relationship because, she was my coach for a year. And then to be able to coach with her for 2 years was just a super humbling experience. And I'm very grateful for all of the time that I had at those two stops.
Now you take over a very young Thiel team this year, no seniors, 3 juniors, 1 sophomore, and 6 freshmen. How do you feel things are coming along in the first handful of games?
Slowly but surely we're getting better. The team that we are today is complete opposite of the team that we started on day one. All I ask of them every single day in practice and at games is just for their best attitude and effort. And I'm a big energy person. And I tell them, like, we just have to be willing to step in every single day and just be willing to compete. And I feel like we are getting to that space where we are stepping in every single day and we're competing and we're okay with it. I'm looking forward to the rest of this season and just the years to come at Thiel. Change doesn't happen overnight, although we wish that it would happen overnight. But slowly but surely, we're getting more competitive and the culture of our program is changing.
Now, of your returnees, Lexi Wagner is the team's leading scorer thus far, over 13 points per game. How has Wagner stepped up as a leader for the team this season?
Lexi has stepped up in big ways. As a junior, to have a new coach come in and want to change probably everything. I'm sure that it's hard to maybe accept that at some points, but Lexi and we have a good relationship. We've been able to have some good conversations about where I see her as a leader and what we need from her as an upperclassman. And Lexi has stepped into that role. She brings good energy to practice, and she's oftentimes that voice of reason as we're getting ready to prepare for a game, because like you said, we have 6 freshmen, 4 upperclassmen. And I think sometimes those younger kids can get a little nervous heading into big games, but Lexi has been that voice in the locker room that just says, like, we can compete, like we can go against this team. And Lexi stepped up for us.
Another one of your juniors for this year's team, Taylor Suzanne, the team leader in 3-pointers made. What does she add from the perimeter?
Oh my goodness. She adds so much. She can just come over from half court and pretty much shoot it from anywhere. And that just, that does so much for us offensively, where defenses really have to focus on her. And if they're focused on Taylor out on the perimeter, it opens up other things for us offensively. And having a threat out on the perimeter, it just does so much for us offensively. And Taylor can shoot it, and we're grateful that she's on our program.
Now, with the graduation of one of the Thiel greats, so one of your former teammates, Destiny Johnson, who was a walking double-double, basically, there are a lot of rebounds left on the table. Who is the team turned to on the inside? 5'11", Emily Scavito, certainly one of your taller players.
Yeah, Emily stepped in this year and she has a totally different role just because, last year she was behind Destiny, and Destiny, like you said, was a walking double double. And Emily has stepped into that role. And, I don't know if anyone could ever fill the shoes of Destiny Johnson, but she's challenged herself, and we all have challenged Emily too to just get better. And she's stepped into that position, and she gives it her all every single possession, and that's truly all that we can ask for.
And of the youngsters, freshman Josie Lewis, Thiel's leading rebounder at just 5'6" thus far, and was a 1,000-point scorer out of nearby Greenville High School. Sought after recruit by many other PAC schools and Division III schools. How much of an impact has Lewis made early on in her freshman year?
Josie is a great basketball player, but Josie is an even greater person. The way that she carries herself on the court is the way that she carries herself in the classroom, in the community. Josie is a leader, and we are so grateful that she chose us out of all of the other conference schools. And the fact that Josie wanted to stay home and help try to turn this program around, I know that Josie will help us be that person to put us in the direction that we want to be going. And the fact that you said that, she's our leading rebounder, like that says all that you need to know about Josie. She might not be the tallest or the biggest or the strongest, but she'll work, and she'll do anything for the team.
Along with Josie Lewis, who are some of the other new faces that we can expect to see from Thiel this year?
I think that there's a great opportunity for everyone on the team to step up this season, but I'm really excited about Jensen. I actually didn't recruit Jensen. Jensen was actually recruited essentially by another player on the team. Jensen is a softball player, and she walked on right before our first official practice, so she came to some of those extra days that we had, and she has just been truly a blessing for our program. She works so hard. She's a really good person. She's a good student. She just has that drive in her. And I'm telling you what, if I asked Jensen to run through this wall behind me, like she would do it. She just battles, and she grinds every single possession. No matter what I ask of her, she's just willing to do it. And she's a great leader for us. And we're very grateful that she, wanted to step out and take this opportunity to play for us.
Now, you mentioned earlier when we were discussing Lexi Wagner how you've changed things quite a bit at Thiel. Now, you played for Rob Clune. You were a part of that team that went to the Final Four, PAC Final Four under Coach Clune. So you played for him. How are you different as a coach compared to Coach Clune, and what have you instilled in this year's team?
I think in some ways I am similar to Coach Clune just because, I played for him for 4 years. I saw his tendencies and what he wanted from us offensively. Like scheme-wise, we're similar as, we want to push the ball, we want to get the ball up. But I would say I'm just such a relationship person, and I want to take that time to get to know everyone, not in a way that Coach Clune didn't do that, but I think that is just the way that I live my life. And I try to be very intentional with the relationships that I form with not only the people on our team, but other people on campus. And I think for some people, like they're not used to having not only from a coach, but just a presence in their life that truly cares about them, not only as just a player, but like as a person. And, I'm very intentional. So if things aren't going well, things aren't going our way, like I'm willing to have that conversation if it's what is best for the program. And, something that I actually learned from Coach Kelly over at Allegheny is she said, strong women address conflict. And that is something that is awkward and uncomfortable, but it's something that we have to be willing to do. And I would just say that I'm willing to have those conversations if it's going to put us in a better position. And I'm willing to be that person and just help them not only grow as basketball players, but as people. Because, at the end of the day, after 4 years, like they're going out into the world and they're becoming leaders. And I want to help push them in that direction.
That answer right there is why you were one of my favorite players in the PAC. So now here as a coach. Now, in your first year, you have, as we mentioned, a young team at Thiel. What are your expectations for growth for this year's Thiel Tomcats?
I see us stepping in every single day in practice and in games, and I expect us to compete. And that's my expectation. I obviously we want to win basketball games, but this season is all about changing the narrative for where we've been for so many years. And even from when I was a player and years before that, like we didn't always compete every single night. And as I mentioned earlier, like my biggest thing is attitude and effort. And if after a game the players on our team can say like, yes, I gave my best, that is what I'm looking for. And yes, sometimes it's hard to have those moral victories, but I'm expecting us to be able to compete every single night, and that's all that I can ask for.
Thiel head coach Jess Vormelker. Coach, thanks so much for your time, and good luck to you and the team this season.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have the second half of today's game when we come back in just a moment.